Thursday afternoon. We're here this morning to talk to, and probably one of the best writers of high fantasy in the last decade.
Oh, sorry. What's that else? Oh, okay.
Allegedly one of the best writers, whose books since 1999 have sold and is now sort of 9 books.
8 languages, 9.
Yeah. So, over to Mr. James Barclay. Let's start right at the beginning again.
Okay.
Early life.
Early life. How early?
Well, how early do you want? You were born at a very early age.
I was very early.
Usually, I mean, we talked before about how early influences affect. You wanted to be a writer,
yes.
You wanted to be a fantasy.
Yes.
So when did you start that?
Well, very early. My brother was a big science fiction and fantasy reader when he was young. Basically passed me books. I read things like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings before I was sort of 10 and 11. And then it was Michael Moorcock and Brian Aldiss. Pretty good grounding, you have to say, in sort of excellent fantasy and science fiction. And it was just like a conveyor belt of stuff that I got. So I read all the book of Elric and Core, and I read everyone else, but that there is, I think, when they come out from time to time. So those are the earliest influences, I would say. So I wanted to be a writer from the time I was 11. I think it was when I started writing my first short story, I think, that was unpublishable, clearly.
I think I read something. You still got it?
I do. Well, actually, my mother has it.
Oh, right.
I wrote one about, I was going to say Esco, that's probably not PC anymore, but anyway, at the time it was, I'm kayaking down a glacial river, that's the very first thing I wrote. That was when I was 7 years old. My mother still got that. I had a broken arm at the time, so I couldn't lead and write at the same time, so the script all goes up a page like this. So it's kind of a story at an angle. So I read it from time to time. And then at 11 I was writing all sorts of odd science fiction-esque stories. I suppose I ought to be proud of them in one way because I wrote them at all, but they're not things that I'll dust off and rewrite. I think that's very unlikely.
So, I mean, when did you actually feel that you could be a real writer, a proper professional writer?
Much earlier than when I actually could have been, I think I felt that I was getting serious about it by the time I was about 15 or 16. I was writing what I thought were novels, but were actually kind of novella length. Dreadful, utterly dreadful derivative fantasy and science fiction. I wrote one which was effectively a long Star Trek episode. And it's diabolical. I've still got that as well. I wrote one for a school project, which goes by a fairly pompous name, Trojan Dawn. It's about colonising other planets, but it's largely a lot of people dying in crashing starships and stuff. They told me that I didn't know much about science fiction writing, so I didn't do much more science fiction writing. Probably a good thing. And the second one, equally dreadful, equally derivative, was called, even more pompously, What Price Civilization? And it was basically about effectively the Enterprise crew, but not coming down to the planet of primitives to help them into the new technological age, and unsurprisingly being resisted by them, so it involved lots of people fighting with swords and guns. It's just not, and it's kind of, there was kind of magic and kind of not, and I've still got it. It's an absolute mess, an absolute mess. And I actually rewrote it about 20 years back, and then called it The All God's Gift. And it was then about a criminal that came down and posed as a god, which is a bit more intelligent, but it's still quite a bad story. But at the time, of course, I thought they were great and probably ought to be published, and I would sell millions, and then they got sent back, or not sent back, or flee in there again. But I think from that point onwards, I was trying to look at bigger ideas, if you like. Because I've never really been a big short story writer. And there's some people that just sit down in the morning and think, well, I think I'll a short story, and I write that, but I'm not like that. Which is a shame, because when I get I love writing short stories. It's a lovely way to write. But I don't think I had anything that was even remotely publishable until I was in my mid-20s, I would say. And it took me however long it was, actually get published. So it's a long process. I've got a big stack of rejection letters and stuff like that from agents and publishers. I'll move this out of the way for you, Andrew. There you go.
Better?
See, good.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've kept them because they're kind of they're a good journey through no to all right but still no, and then actually never got an acceptance letter off Gollancz because they're phoning up and say yes, which is a shame. It'd be nice to have that as the end of the journey, if you like. And there's about, so there's, I don't know, 9-10 years worth of rejection letters, quite a lot. But for me, just goes to show that you should never give up.
And what kept you going?
I think I didn't believe that I wouldn't get published, I think, which is very, I don't know, quite arrogant in some ways, but I thought I had something. But I guess as rejection letters kept on coming in, then you start thinking, okay, I might have something, but I don't know how to write it down yet. And I think that it took me a lot of years to hone whatever skill I do have into something which was publishable and then reasonably popular. But what in the end what keeps you going is I just love to write. So in the end, if I didn't ever get published, I wouldn't be giving up writing. I'd still be doing it because it's just a great way to spend time. So, but I don't know. I don't know if I wasn't published now, whether I'd still be saying stuff. I probably would, because why not? You know, there are actually expanding markets for publishing now. If you go through print on demand and such like. If you want to do bound publishing, it's slightly better than it used to be to do that now. And there are a lot more small presses. So I think there are probably more opportunities as the internet has grown. I expect I will still be doing it. But actually, there's a guy that I want to talk to more, because I'm unfortunately not here, but he published his own book on Hulu and has worked his socks off to market it himself. He's doing really well. I think he's a case in point where you can self-publish, and actually he's now stocked in quite a lot of copies of stores of Waterstones and the signings and stuff. He's doing very well. No, not exactly. It's a book called Fallen Heroes. A guy's called Barry Newton. I might interview him for SFF World, actually. But he's a good case study in about if you can't get a mainstream publisher, carry on and work it out and see where you get. I think, well, hopefully you'll end up with a mainstream contract. We'll see.
Right, so you kept writing?
I did.
Because you liked it?
Yes.
And then you went off to college?
Yes. I did, yeah. I worked damn hard as well. Communication studies, I had literally 5 hours of lectures every week. As much reading to do as well. It is savage actually, because I started, when I went to college, I did, what did I start with? The course was called Electronics Control and Design Engineering. I barely understood the title of the course, and when I went there, I did 2 weeks of lectures, and I sat there and I didn't understand a word. And it's really, really soul-destroying. And the guy was standing there in the maths lecture, and I've got A-level maths and physics and chemistry at a very average grade. And he'd sit there and go, of course, you've all done all this stuff, I'll go straight on to this. And I'm thinking, I haven't. What are you talking about? And they give these reams of problems to him. I was just out of my depth completely. And I was going to leave. But at the time, because you weren't paying your own fees and stuff, they didn't want you to leave college, because if you left the college had to send the fees back to the government. So they don't want that. They've already spent them, of course. So they looked around for another course for you to do. So I changed from a Bachelor of Science degree to a BA. This is communication studies. It was sociology, history and linguistics, and actually a really good move. Apart from the fact that it was good fun, I didn't have to do much work.